Have you ever looked around and wondered, why is everyone else prospering while I'm still stuck in lack? You're not lazy. You're not irresponsible. You pray. You obey. You give. You sow. You've sacrificed. You've fasted. You've cried out to heaven with a broken heart and trembling hands. And yet, the doors stay shut. The bills don't wait. The pressure mounts. And while others seem to overflow, you're left asking, God, what am I doing wrong? Let me tell you something the world will never understand. This isn't punishment. This isn't bad luck. This isn't some random season of hardship. This is spiritual warfare on a chosen soul. And if you've been marked by God, your finances will be one of the first areas to be tested, targeted, and transformed. You're not cursed. You're called. You're not behind. You're in divine process. And this process, it's brutal. It's lonely. It's humiliating. But it's also holy. Because when God is preparing a vessel to carry kingdom provision, He first empties them of all earthly illusions. So if you've been wondering why the money isn't flowing, why the breakthroughs feel delayed, why your efforts seem to bounce off invisible walls, I need you to stay right here. Because the truth you're about to receive is not motivational fluff. It's revelation. And revelation doesn't just inspire you, it activates you. This message will unlock the part of you that hell has been trying to keep asleep. Because once you understand what's really happening behind your financial struggles, you'll stop begging. You'll start becoming. So before we go any further, if your spirit is already stirred, if you know this message was meant for you, tap that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop 99 in the comments right now. Why 99? Because it's the number that reminds heaven you're the one He left the 99 for. You're the one that's been hidden, refined, and now, it's your time to rise. Let's begin. Let me tell you a secret that religion rarely dares to whisper. God doesn't train His warriors on thrones. He trains them in the wilderness, not on red carpets, not in comfort, not in convenience, but in drought, in dryness, in delay. You see, the chosen ones don't get pampered. They get prepared. And sometimes preparation feels like punishment, because it strips you of everything familiar and forces you to rely on what can't be seen. Scarcity isn't always a curse. Sometimes, it's a sacred classroom, a divine cocoon where God rewires your spirit to recognize Him as source, not people, not systems, not salaries, not followers. In this place of spiritual drought, the rules change. The blessings aren't material, they're internal. You're not being fattened with abundance. You're being sharpened by pressure. And here's the part that shakes most people. God will withhold what you thought you needed, until what you actually need is birthed inside you. When you've been chosen for kingdom impact, money will be the very thing He hides from you. Not because He wants you broke, but because He wants you anchored. Anchored in trust, anchored in obedience, anchored in the kind of faith that doesn't flinch when the balance is low, or the doors are shut, or the world laughs at your lack. Because real provision begins the moment you no longer panic in the presence of scarcity. He's not trying to break you. He's trying to break the dependence on everything that could replace Him in your heart. That relationship, that job, that plan you were counting on, gone. Not because you failed, but because God is forcing a reset. He's stripping away every false source until your soul has only one name left to call on. And in that place, something shifts. You begin to see that God doesn't just want to bless you. He wants to build you. Because a built vessel doesn't spill when the oil comes. But here's the twist most people miss. It's not just about trust, it's about discernment. In the drought, God is teaching you what actually matters. He's showing you the difference between provision and temptation, between divine timing and premature blessing, between counterfeit doors and kingdom assignments. When the hunger is real, anything looks like bread. But when you've been trained by God in the wilderness, you stop settling for crumbs because you know who you are. You know whose you are. And that kind of clarity becomes dangerous to the enemy. So if you're in a season of lack, don't rush out of it. Ask instead, God, what are you building in me that gold could never buy? Because what you gain in the drought is eternal. And when the drought ends, and it will, you'll carry a depth that no money could ever purchase. But before that shift comes, God has one more lesson to teach. A lesson the enemy has been fighting with everything he's got to keep you from seeing. And trust me, once you see it, you'll never look at your bank account the same way again. Ready for the next layer? Let's go deeper. Let's get something very clear from the beginning. The enemy doesn't waste time attacking someone who isn't a threat. If your finances are being hit hard, it's not a coincidence. It's a deliberate spiritual strategy. He's not chasing your money. He's chasing your mission. Because before God sends you, hell already read your spiritual profile. It already smelled your anointing. It already saw the blueprints that heaven designed for you, and activated a resistance barrier aimed directly at what can fuel your purpose, your provision. You weren't chosen just to survive. You were chosen to fund freedom, break curses, raise generations, and awaken spiritually dormant territories. And that, dear chosen one, comes at a cost, not just in effort, time, or tears, but in resources. That's why the enemy doesn't want you poor just to annoy you. He wants you poor to stop the advance of the kingdom through you. Haven't you noticed? Ever since you discovered your purpose, your financial doors began to close. Deals fell apart, opportunities vanished, and the attacks came. Always right when you were about to take off. It's not coincidence. It's targeted spiritual sabotage. The enemy knows that an anointed and funded person is a bomb to his system. So he sends distractions. He makes you focus on urgent needs so you lose sight of the eternal vision. He sends debt, so your energy is consumed by survival instead of construction. He sends discouragement, so you think God forgot about you, when in reality, God is preparing a transfer of resources that will change your story forever. And here's what hurts the enemy the most. Despite everything he tried, you're still here, watching this message, aligned with heaven, waiting for instruction, with faith in your spirit and fire in your eyes. Because even though hell tried to convince you it was over, you were already marked by divine provision. Not emotional provision, not illusory provision, but a provision that comes with heaven's backing, angelic protection, and eternal purpose. What the enemy doesn't know is that the entire system he built to stop you, God is using it to train you. Your current lack is the soil where God is planting financial discernment, spiritual authority, and emotional resilience. And soon, you'll be the one holding the keys. You'll be the one setting others free. You'll be the one funding what hell fears the most. But before that happens, you need to uncover the hidden root of this sabotage, a spiritual link passed down from generation to generation. And today, finally, it's going to be exposed. Are you ready for that? Because what comes next is what the enemy has worked the hardest to keep hidden. Many chosen ones are fighting with chains they never put on, battling wars they never started, and carrying curses that were planted long before they were even born. Have you ever wondered why, no matter how hard you try, something always seems to fall apart at the last moment? Why opportunities slip through your fingers, contracts dissolve, and just when everything begins to flow, something invisible ruins it all? This is not coincidence. It's spiritual inheritance. Many chosen ones are carrying ancestral battles they never agreed to, minds programmed for scarcity, repetitive cycles of financial loss, self-sabotage decisions, and a deep sense that something is blocking you, even when you're doing everything right. Do you know why? Because there are curses that travel through bloodlines, not through behavior. Unhealed wounds, unspoken pacts, family agreements with fear, failure, and limitation. And you were marked by God to be the breaker, the one who interrupts, the one who heals, the one who says, "It ends with me." That's why the warfare has been so intense. Because you're not just fighting for your freedom. You're fighting for your entire family tree, the mistakes of your ancestors, the vows of misery, the words your grandparents heard over and over. That's not for people like us. The rich are evil. Money changes people. We've always been poor, and that's just how it is. Without even realizing it, those phrases were planted in your spiritual DNA. And although your spirit is new, your soul has been conditioned by centuries of toxic programming. But here's the good news. The blood of Jesus breaks every chain. It doesn't matter how deep the roots go. It doesn't matter how many generations lived under that system. You were set apart to begin something new. Heaven didn't choose you to repeat the story. It chose you to rewrite it. But that rewriting doesn't begin with money. It begins with revelation. Because what you cannot see rules you. But what is exposed can finally be evicted. Today is the day God shines a light on your bloodline, not to condemn you, but to liberate you. And when you grasp this, everything shifts. You stop seeing yourself as a victim, and you start walking as a deliverer. You stop praying only for your finances, and start praying for the healing of the roots. Because you know that every chain you break today becomes an open door for your children tomorrow. But be careful. What's coming next is not just a spiritual revelation. It's a truth that might sting, but it's the only thing that will prepare you for what God is about to place in your hands. Do you really want to know why the blessing hasn't been fully released yet? Then get ready. Because what's coming will confront you, but it will also set you free. You've been crying out, "God, where's the blessing?" But heaven has been whispering back, "Where's the preparation?" Here's the truth that many people never want to confront. Sometimes the delay is the protection, because a gift released too soon can become a curse in disguise. Let's be real. We live in a world that glorifies speed, quick breakthroughs, instant results, overnight wealth. But God doesn't operate on human hype. He operates on kingdom readiness. And in the kingdom, God will never release something to you that will ultimately destroy you. You think you're ready for financial overflow? But have you been tested in self-control? Have you been refined in integrity? Can you say no to the flesh when no one's watching? Can you steward influence without falling into pride? Because here's what the enemy won't tell you. Wealth exposes you. It magnifies your weaknesses. It tests your loyalties. It challenges your identity. And if your character hasn't been fortified in private, your collapse will be public. That's why God is silent sometimes. Not because he forgot you, but because he's refining you. He's watching how you handle the little before he trusts you with the much. He's listening to your words in secret, your thoughts during pressure, your attitude when nobody claps for you. Because heaven is not just looking to bless your desire. Heaven is looking to bless your capacity. And here's something few understand. God doesn't just want to increase your bank account. He wants to increase your weight in the spirit. Because chosen ones aren't just blessed. They become channels of blessing. And for that, you need more than excitement. You need structure, endurance, humility, discernment. So yes, God could have given it to you last year. He could have answered your cry 3 promotions ago. But he saw something in you that needed to break first. Maybe it was ego. Maybe it was impatience. Maybe it was your habit of outsourcing your worth to what you own. Whatever it was, he loved you too much to let you build a kingdom on a shaky foundation. Because what's coming to your hands is holy. And holy things require holy vessels. And when you're truly ready, not just emotionally hyped, but spiritually anchored, the blessing won't need to be chased. It will find you, overtake you, and rest on you with permanence. But make no mistake, the blessing is heavy. The wealth you're praying for will come with assignments, battles, and divine responsibilities. So instead of asking, "When, God?" Ask, what in me still needs to die? Because when you stop preparing for a moment and start becoming a vessel, you won't just receive provision, you'll become unstoppable. And the moment you're fully built, fully yielded, fully trusted, that's when God opens the vault. But what happens right before that vault unlocks is where most chosen ones get tested the hardest. Are you strong enough to pass that test? Then stay with me, because what's coming next is the final piece you didn't know you needed. Let's destroy a lie right now. You were never called just to get rich. That's too small. That's too shallow. That's a human dream, not a kingdom calling. If you are truly chosen, your life is not about stacking wealth. It's about channeling it. You were not born to chase money. You were born to redirect it, to reclaim it from the hands of the wicked, and to release it into the hands of the righteous. You are a divine distribution center. Heaven wants to move resources through you, to fund missions, heal families, restore communities, lift up the broken, and activate God's vision on earth. But in order for that to happen, you must upgrade your perspective. God doesn't anoint people to be rich. He anoints people to be faithful. And faithfulness looks like this. When you get blessed, you don't hoard it. You ask, Lord, who is this for? Where do you want this to go? What assignment is this attached to? You see, the reason your warfare has been so intense is because your wealth has already been assigned to things hell fears. Your obedience is expensive. Your calling is weighty. And what you're being prepared to fund is a direct threat to the enemy's infrastructure. This is not about luxury. This is about legacy. God doesn't just want to make you comfortable. He wants to make you dangerous. Dangerous to darkness. Dangerous to generational curses. Dangerous to the spirit of poverty that's been running your bloodline for centuries. And to carry that kind of wealth without becoming corrupted by it requires a level of maturity that most people never develop. But you've been in the fire. You've been refined. You've been emptied. So that when God pours into you, nothing competes with his voice. Because chosen ones are not owners, they are stewards. You don't control the blessing. You manage it on behalf of the kingdom. And when God finds a steward who can be trusted, he doesn't just release a blessing. He releases a flow, an unending, unstoppable, supernatural flow. But here's where it gets real. The enemy knows that once you understand this, you become a problem. He knows that if you ever stop chasing money and start chasing God's purpose with money, you'll dismantle his systems from the inside out. That's why you've been attacked. That's why you've been delayed. That's why certain doors slam shut even when you were doing everything right. Because what you're called to release is heavier than what you've been trying to receive. And the moment you accept this, the moment you stop praying like a beggar and start walking like a steward, you unlock a level of access that hell cannot intercept. But before that overflow hits your hands, there's one more shift you need to make. It's not financial. It's not emotional. It's spiritual. And it's the shift that makes everything else make sense. What you're about to hear will turn the pain of your journey into power. Don't look away now. You're one step from the final key. Listen closely. This is the moment everything shifts, not just in your finances, but in your identity. You were never being ignored. You were never being punished. You were being positioned in pain, so you'd learn to hear God in the silence. Positioned in lack, so you'd learn to lean not on man, but on miracles. Positioned in the wilderness, so when the promised land opens, you won't worship the provision. You'll worship the provider. Your suffering had strategy. Your lack carried layers of wisdom. And your delay was soaked in divine love. Because what you thought was God holding out on you was actually God holding you together. He knew what he put inside you. He knew what you were destined to carry. And he knew that before he could release overflow to your hands, he had to establish unshakable stewardship in your spirit. Chosen one, the heavens are shifting. The oil is flowing.